What's up, boys? MKTV here. Welcome back to the channel and welcome back to another video. Today, what we have for you is going to be the hidden gems I have found, or I believe they're hidden gems, inside Euro 24 fantasy football. If you do enjoy, smash that thumbs up button. Subscribe to the channel as well if you are new around here. Closing in on 5k and hoping to get that before the end of the Euros. Massive thank you. And yeah, without further ado, let's hop straight into things. So the first player we're going to be taking a look at is going to be Matchday of Belgium. So looking at him, he is a goalkeeper who is 4 million, so the cheapest you can possibly get a player for in fantasy football for Euro 2024. He is predicted to start as Belgium's #1 goalkeeper because Thibaut Courtois has been left out of the squad for the Euros. So therefore, it is between Sels and also Casteels of Wolfsburg. The reason Sels does seem to be favoured or predicted to start is basically because he's played more games recently. In the run-up to it, while Thibaut Courtois was injured, he played more games than Casteels did. So therefore, we do predict that Sels will start as a #1. If he doesn't start as a #1, obviously then it will be Casteels. But for the most part, he's predicted to start as Belgium's #1 goalkeeper. And at 4 million, you cannot really go wrong. In my opinion, I think he's a brilliant option. Minimum price, 2% owned as well. So he's a hidden gem for the fact that only 2% of the entire player base have this guy in their teams. And just like Belgium is a good country for defensively, you know, they have good players all around the pitch. Are they going to concede goals? Probably. Are they going to keep clean sheets? Hopefully. You don't really know that until, you know, it's a European competition at the end of the day. It is going to be a difficult one to keep clean sheets and get the right clean sheets and the players that will get them in your team. But for the most part, Mats Sels is going to be a brilliant option in my opinion. And he's actually in my provisional draft at the moment. I think he's a great option. 4 million, you cannot really go wrong. And on a goalkeeper, you want to spend as little budget as possible. He's a great placeholder, a great player to have in the team. And if he is Belgium's #1, he's going to be an absolute hidden gem to own. The next player we're going to be talking about is going to be Max Mittelstadt of Germany. I've talked about him a lot on this channel. He was in my first draft. He's in my most recent draft. He's just a brilliant, brilliant option. Again, another 4 million pick. Germany, the host nation of the Euro 2024. And also the fact he plays not even as a centre-back, as in less output. You would expect less output from attacking output from a centre-back. He actually does play as a left-back. So if Germany decide to play a back four, which is predicted of what they're going to play, he does slot in the left-back role. And he will be, his competition is basically David Raum of Leipzig. It does look like Mittelstadt for Stuttgart will start for Germany. Starting a left-back, he has 2 goals, 5 assists this season as well. So not the most attacking output, but very, very decent numbers for a fullback. And yeah, 10% owned. He is a little bit, you know, people are starting to realize how much of a good pick this guy could potentially be. So that is why his ownership is up to about 10%. But 4 million as well, you cannot go wrong. And if he does, you know, play every single game of the Euros for Germany, or at least majority, and you having him in your squad, you know, even if a lot of people do have him, it just kind of cancels that out. So he's not a player I'd want to go without. If you want to get a bit of that Germany defense, he is absolutely perfect for that. And he covers, you know, a fullback for Germany for 4 million. I mean, when have you ever heard of that? He is so underpriced if he does actually play for Germany. It is just the question mark of, will they actually start him? But I'm positive they actually will. He's had a brilliant season. Like I said, 2 goals, 5 assists. There's no reason why they shouldn't play him. And at 4 million, he's an absolute gem that you should definitely have in your Euro fantasy squad. Now, next player we're moving on. So the second defender we have got for you in this video of hidden gems is going to be Victor Christiansen of Denmark. I hope I am pronouncing his name right there. He's a Leicester City player who is currently on loan for Bologna in Serie A. He did play as a left back and a left wing back as well this season in different parts. He's had a very, very solid season for Bologna, played nearly every game for them in the league. And he's got 4 assists among that as well. So maybe not the most attacking fullback. You'd expect maybe, you know, 2 or 3 up to 5 assists from your fullback in a season, which, you know, it's decent. But if he does play as a left wing back for Denmark, I think he could be a brilliant option. It could be very attacking as well to go with that. He's 4.5 million, so he's not the most expensive player. Again, a very decent price for a player who is predicted to start for Denmark. Not obviously going to be certain on that, just because the amount of good players for each country, it is pretty impossible to predict the guaranteed lineup. But he is predicted to start. I would expect him to start at least 2 of the 3 games for Denmark. A very decent left back for them as well. And he's a young player as well, 21 years of age. Will probably go back to Leicester, so we could see him in the Premier League next season. we could see him in FPL Fantasy Premier League for the start of next season. And to be quite honest, I don't see why, if you're looking for a player in the 4.5 million or below category, as long as you have Mittelstadt and maybe Phase of Belgium, I don't think there's many brilliant options or much better options that you could go with. So Christiansen is definitely a good option there, and is a hidden gem at 0% owned. So if you're looking for a player who, not a lot of people have and you think is a good option, go ahead and get Victor Christiansen in your team. So moving on to the midfielders that we do have. First of all, we're going to start off with a player from Turkey, Hakan Çalhanoğlu. Again, if I've got his name wrong pronunciation, I do apologize on that behalf. But yeah, moving into him, 6.5 million for a midfielder. Very, very solid option in Fantasy Premier League, Fantasy Euro Fantasy Football. 5% owned as well. So he's actually very low owned for someone who is a massive part of, Turkey's attacking output for the Euros and for any international competition. He's on all set pieces, or at least predicted, if he does play, will be on penalties, free kicks, corners. So that is already ringing alarm bells in my head that he is going to be a good option for, as a pick for the Euros. 15 goals, 3 assists this season. He's had an absolutely phenomenal season in Serie A, which is obviously a big plus. A player who's on form going into a big competition like this. As long as, that's a good sign for any team. It really, really is. So I'll be definitely looking at Çalhanoğlu. He is in my current draft. I will give you that. And I really like the look of him. 6.5 million as well. He's $1 million less than the likes of a Verts, or, he's like 1.5 million less, or sorry, 2.5 million less than the likes of a Foden, which is, it's surprising. It really is surprising. He's very cheap. I know he's playing for Turkey, which probably aren't expected to, go very far in the competition, but for a player who's going to play at least probably 3, if not 4 or 5 games over the competition, he's on all set pieces. He's 6.5 million. He's a decent player, and I think he's a very good for ball recoveries, all that kind of thing as well. Will be very attacking for Turkey, and someone who's on all set pieces. I know I've gone back to that again, but set pieces could be a massive part of this Euros. And yeah, Çalhanoğlu would be definitely a hidden gem in my opinion that people aren't looking at enough. So if you want one of them, pop him in your team. The next player we're going to be looking at is another midfielder, and it is Xherdan Shaqiri of Switzerland. Now, again, someone who probably is getting on a little bit age-wise, so maybe will not be your guaranteed nailed-on player who's going to start every single game. But honestly, Switzerland, they're a decent team, and he's going to come off the bench if he doesn't start. He always comes up with a goal. He always seems to do well in international competitions for Switzerland. He's just Xherdan Shaqiri. If Switzerland score, he's going to score a bicycle kick. He's going to score a goal. But no, being deadly serious, he's on all set pieces if he does play. So corners, free kicks, he's very good at free kicks, penalties as well. So if he does get that start, which I do expect him to get at least 1 or 2 starts out of the 3+ games that Switzerland do play, I think he could be a very decent option. And again, it's 6.5 million, only 1% owned. I don't understand that. I am considering him in my team. I'm not sure if I will go for him. But if you're looking for a player and you have about 6.5 million, 7 million, and you just want to take a punt at someone who isn't high owned and people aren't looking at, 1% owned Xherdan Shaqiri here is an absolute brilliant option. He really, really is. The only issue I would have with him is minutes. Like I've said, I just cannot be 100% sure the age he is, the fact he's playing in MLS. Will he play every single minute for Switzerland? No. Will he get 2 out of the 3 starts is what I'm hoping. But I don't expect him to play every single game and every single minute. That is just not realistic. But when he's on the pitch, on set pieces, absolutely brilliant. And you just can't say no to him. You definitely can't. Another hidden gem that I would recommend at least thinking about. Next up, we're moving on to the forwards. And boy, oh boy, do we have a good pick for you here. Artem Dovbyk. I do apologize if I've said that wrong. The Ukrainian striker is a must. You must think about him. He is such a good option for 7.5 million. A lot of people have made their mind up for who they're playing as their front 3 or who their front 3 are. And most likely the template at the moment is Kylian Mbappe, Harry Kane and Romelu Lukaku. 3 brilliant options in their own respect, don't get me wrong. But definitely Dovbyk needs a bit of mention here. Nailed on for Ukraine. Their group isn't the worst. Ukraine could easily finish second. Could easily win the group. I don't know. But I would predict Ukraine to go through out of the group. He's nailed on for Ukraine. He's had an absolutely brilliant season with Girona. He's on penalties for Ukraine, well, at least predicted. So he's going to be on penalties for Ukraine, and he's just off the back of a season for Girona for 25 goals and 10 assists. If that is not worth considering, I genuinely don't know what is. A player on that kind of form coming into a major competition for his country is an absolute, you have to consider him. 7.5 million as well. He's not expensive. He's not as expensive as the likes of a Romelu Lukaku, or nowhere near the 11 million that Kane and Mbappe are. 6% owned as well, so not many people are even talking about him or looking at him. And Artem Dovbyk is a must consider, in my opinion. He's a hidden gem. Not many people are looking at it. Shout out as well, one of the boys did comment there on a video recently and said, is he a good option? And it kind of opened my eyes up a little bit as well. Is he actually a good option? And he definitely is. His underlying numbers are very good as well. I believe he's got 8 goals for Ukraine already in like 21 games or something, which isn't bad at all for international football. I'd expect Dovbyk to have a very good competition and hopefully come away with some goals. Time will tell, but definitely a striker or a forward you should be considering looking at your team, especially if you're looking for someone that is a little bit off the radar, a little bit not so template maybe. A hidden gem is what we're saying. But yeah, definitely a good option. Coming up last but not least is Federico Chiesa of Italy. Now, Italy do have a bit of a difficult group. They have the likes of the Netherlands in there. They probably will still come out of their group, but people are kind of overlooking them a little bit, in my opinion. They've a very, very favourable first fixture in Albania, the highest percent expected clean sheet of the tournament, and I think it's something like 44%. I could be wrong on that, but favourable fixture against Albania to start the tournament off, so get them on a high running. And yeah, Federico Chiesa for Italy always seems to do very, very well. He's nailed on for Italy. He's going to play at least 60, 70 minutes. He's going to start every single game, I would expect at the very least. Potentially on penalties. The manager of Italy has come out and said that Jorginho is off penalties and Federico Chiesa is on penalties. But then again, it could switch back. It could be Jorginho on them if Federico Chiesa goes ahead and misses a few. But for the most part, he is on penalties from what we understand at this moment in time. He's a favourable first fixture and he's nailed on for Italy at 7.5 million. I don't know what's not to like about this pick. He is 9% owned, so he's a little bit more owned than some of the other players we've looked at throughout this video, but definitely one that is still under the radar in my opinion. If you're looking for that third forward, like I said, most people, Harry Kane, Lukaku and Mbappe. Is Federico Chiesa the third option? Potentially. He was in my first draft. Am I going to go with him? It is worth considering, but definitely one you should be looking at if you are looking to get someone a little bit more hidden, but not completely, 0% owned. But yeah, definitely worth considering Federico Chiesa on penalties, nailed on, and favourable fixtures. What's not to like? So that, boys, is going to wrap things up for today's video. Hopefully you've taken something from the video. Hopefully you have, maybe, if you're looking for a player like a hidden gem, you've found someone that maybe, suits your team or whatever. If you want a part 2 to this video as well, let me know down below in the comment section. Thank you so much as well for watching. Drop a like, subscribe if you haven't already, on the road to 5,000 subscribers, which will be massive to achieve someday. But massive thank you for watching. Drop a comment as well for future videos you want to see. Any of these picks you think are brilliant options, terrible options, let me know it all down in the comment section down below. And I'll catch you boys next time with the next one. Peace.